the house where time stands still. They say the old mansion at the edge of the village was cursed. Its tall spires loomed like jagged teeth against the night sky, its windows dark and hollow like staring eyes. But what chilled travelers most was the silence. No birds sang near its gates. No wind stirred the grass around its walls. And if you listened closely, closer than you should, you'd hear it. The faint, steady ticking of clocks. Even though no one had lived there for over 100 years, Elena had heard the warnings all her life. As a child, she'd passed the mansion on her way to school, gripping her mother's hand tightly while villagers whispered stories. They said anyone who entered never came back. One boy had dared to step inside on a drunken bet. He returned at dawn, pale, shaking, and mute, his hair turned white overnight. He never spoke another word before vanishing completely a week later. Now, as an adult, Elena should have stayed away, but she was a historian, and secrets were her obsession. The mansion's story had always tugged at her curiosity. Why had its owners vanished without a trace one stormy night? Why did every clock inside the house freeze at the same hour, 3:15 a.m., the moment the family disappeared? And so, against every warning, Elena crossed the rusted gates one gray evening, clutching her lantern and notebook. The air grew heavier as she approached the door. Her lantern flickered, though no wind touched it. The wood groaned as she pushed it open, and a rush of stale, icy air greeted her. The grand hall unfolded before her, chandeliers draped in cobwebs, portraits with eyes that seemed too lifelike, and dozens, no, hundreds, of clocks covering every wall. Each one had frozen at 3:15. Yet, they ticked. Elena's skin prickled as the faint, synchronized heartbeat of clocks pulsed through the silence. She took a step inside, and the door slammed shut behind her with a deafening crack. She dropped her lantern, and its light flickered across the floor, illuminating footprints. Fresh, wet footprints, leading deeper into the house. She followed them into the parlor. Dust lay thick on the furniture, but the footprints disturbed it, circling the room before vanishing near an old grandfather clock. She leaned closer, heart hammering, when suddenly, bong! The grandfather clock struck once. The sound roared through the house like thunder, even though its hands were frozen at 3:15. Elena staggered back, clapping her hands to her ears as the echoes shook the walls. Then silence. Her breath fogged in the air. And in the silence, she heard it. A whisper. Elena. Her name. The voice came from upstairs. Against every instinct, she climbed the staircase, her lantern trembling in her grip. The second floor stretched into endless hallways lined with mirrors. She passed one, then froze. Her reflection didn't move. Her chest tightened as her reflection smiled slowly, lifting its hand while she stood frozen in terror. She stumbled backward, the lantern nearly slipping from her grip. When she dared to glance again, the reflection was gone, but the whisper returned. Elena. She turned sharply and found herself before a bedroom door. It creaked open on its own. Inside, moonlight spilled across the floorboards, falling on a child's toy drum abandoned in the corner. On the bed lay a diary, its leather cover cracked with age. Her hands shook as she opened it. They told us never to wind the clocks after midnight, the faded ink read. But Father wouldn't listen. Now time has stopped, and something walks the halls. We cannot leave. The house won't let us. It wants us to stay forever. The last entry ended mid-sentence, the ink smeared as though the writer had been dragged away. Elena's lantern sputtered. The air grew colder. From the hallway came the sound of footsteps, slow, deliberate, approaching her door. She backed against the wall, clutching the diary to her chest. The footsteps stopped just outside. The doorknob turned. The lantern died. Darkness swallowed her, and in that darkness, dozens of clocks began to chime together, their frozen hands still locked at 3:15. The deafening chorus filled the house, rattling the windows, shaking the floor. Elena. The whisper came again, closer, harsher, almost inside her ear now. Her courage broke. She bolted from the room, running down the endless hallway as the walls seemed to stretch, the clocks booming, the whispers chasing her. Every door she tried was locked. Every mirror she passed showed her reflection grinning. Finally, she reached the grand hall again. The front door loomed ahead. She grabbed its iron handle and yanked, locked. She pounded on it desperately, but behind her the ticking grew louder, faster, until it sounded like the heartbeat of some monstrous creature. She turned, and in the glow of the moon filtering through cracked windows she saw them, the family. Pale, motionless figures lined the hall, their faces hidden in shadow. Each one turned slowly toward her in unison, whispering her name. Elena. Her lantern flared to life suddenly, casting their faces into light. They weren't people anymore. Their eyes were hollow clocks, their mouths ticking with every word. And as they stepped toward her, the largest clock of all, the one above the grand staircase, creaked, its frozen hands trembling for the first time in a century. The minute hand inched forward. 3:16 a.m. Watch out for part 2. Thanks for watching, my wonderful people.